In a major update, with Donald Trump recognizing that he was already going to lose Tuesday's vote to release the Epstein Files in the House as more and more Republicans came out and publicly defected, Trump took to Truth Social, writing, "As I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein Files because we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetuated by the radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, including our recent victory on the Democrat shutdown. The Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein, are looking at various Democrat operatives, Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, etc., and their relationship to Epstein, and the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. I don't care. All I do care about is that Republicans get back on point, which is the economy, affordability, where we are winning big, our victory on reducing inflation from the highest level in history to practically nothing, bringing down prices for the American people, delivering historic tax cuts, gaining trillions of dollars of investments into America, a record, the rebuilding of our military, securing our border, deporting illegal aliens, ending men and women's sports, stopping transgender for everyone, and so much more. Nobody cared about Jeffrey Epstein when he was alive, and if the Democrats had anything, would have released it before our landslide election victory. Some members of the Republican Party are being used, and we can't let that happen. Let's start talking about the Republican Party's record-setting achievements and not fall into the Epstein trap, which is actually a curse on the Democrats, not us. Make America great again." Now, a few things here. This is Donald Trump pretending that this was all his idea all along, saying, "As I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein Files." Yeah, not exactly what happened. In reality, this is what he said on Friday night aboard Air Force One as it relates to the release of the Epstein Files.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that a vote will happen in the House. I know you wrote about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends. This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends because, if they're going to do that, and I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clayton. I understand that's who's been assigned.
But does the congresswoman have a point, though?
Does Marjorie Taylor Greene have a point?
Does she have a point, though?
I know nothing about her.
On the release of the files. All the files.
Well, they can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already. Look, this is a Democrat hoax. This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective. But this is a Democrat hoax to get away from the fact that they just lost the shutdown and they've lost the election. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Go ahead.
Incriminating in the files,
Venezuela,
sir.
sir.
Why acting as a...
Quiet.
Now, at one point, he goes so far as to say he doesn't care about the Epstein Files, but that was followed immediately by a clarification that any Republicans that do opt to release the files are, quote, weak and ineffective. But at no point did he ever encourage their release. In fact, he literally marched Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room to try and get her to remove her name from the discharge petition. And he has been the sole impediment to releasing these files for months. So the notion that he wants them released or has encouraged their release is an absolute farce. In reality, he can see the writing on the wall. He can see that all of these Republicans are coming forward and announcing their support for the bill like this.
I want to start first with this potential vote. You did not support the discharge petition. How are you planning to vote next week?
Yeah, I'm going to vote yes. I mean, I've said all along I'm for, total transparency here, consistent with protecting the victims. And so this is going to be coming for a yes up or down vote on the House floor next week, and I plan to vote yes.
Look, I think the Oversight Committee, I'm going to vote for it if it comes up because...
You'll vote for the bill.
Yeah, because, look, I think the Oversight Committee has pushed out a lot of disclosures. The administration's done a lot. If you look in the UK, they've tried to do something towards Prince Andrew. But one of the things that went away during the shutdown is Pam Bondi was supposed to come to the House and answer these questions. And look, I'm not on the Judiciary Committee, but I did want Pam Bondi to come and do some explaining.
Everyone
everyone that voted for Trump Vance, everyone was like, release the Epstein files.
Right.
This is not even an argument. It's not even debatable. It's not being a traitor to the president to sign my name on a Thomas Massie discharge petition to release the Epstein files. No. I am staying true to what we've always said. There needs to be transparency.
We're forcing this vote, and it's going to happen. I would remind my Republican colleagues who are deciding how to vote, Donald Trump can protect you in red districts right now by giving you an endorsement. But in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't vote to release these files, and the president can't protect you.
The Speaker said this is all a political exercise. Certainly the families of the victims don't think it is.
I think the Speaker realizes the train has left the station on this. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. And I wish the president realized that. The more the White House pushes back on this, it's, it just looks bad, right? I mean, it was the Attorney General came out and said all these white binders, we're going to release all this information, and then a month later said, oh, no, we're not. So it's been a PR blunder from the beginning. And I think the Speaker is right. This is going to happen, so let's get it done and vote on it. And we got to realize it still has to go to the Senate. Then it has to go to the president for signature. Meanwhile, our oversight committee is releasing thousands and thousands of pages of evidence concerning Epstein.
In other words, he knows he's going to lose, so he's moving the goalposts and pretending that this is what he wanted all along. It's worth noting, too, Trump is the president. If he wanted these files released, as he claims he did, he could have them released at any time. They are literally in his administration's possession. In fact, the only reason that we don't already have the files is because of him. So the notion that he's out here advocating for their release is almost comical at this point. Now, there may be another reason that Trump is okay with these files being released. He says, quote, House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. Well, you might remember that just days ago, Trump told Pam Bondi, his attorney general, to launch an investigation on Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, JP Morgan Chase, and Pam Bondi agreed to do so. So now, if there are certain documents contained within the files that Trump doesn't want released, all they have to say is, well, those documents are part of an ongoing investigation, and then he gets to have those documents suppressed. A convenient little catch-all that protects him, that Pam Bondi will no doubt fall over herself to be able to be a party to. Or yet another reason. Remember when Donald Trump's acting deputy chief of the Office of Enforcement Operations at the DOJ was caught on camera saying this?
Well, those files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal, Democratic people in those files.
That was someone who works in Trump's Department of Justice admitting that they are going to redact all the Republicans' names and leave in all the Democrats' names. So it's not out of the question to assume that the files that Donald Trump actually releases are not the files in their entirety. And again, it wasn't us that said that this was going to happen. It was someone who worked in Trump's own DOJ. With that said, I posed this question to Ro Khanna about how we can have any confidence that what's being released is legitimate. Here's what he had to say.
Well, we know what's in the files. I mean, I haven't seen them, but the lawyers of the victims have. So there are independent ways to verify whether what's being released is honest and true. There are also people from the Biden Justice Department that have seen the files. So there are independent verification that can take place about whether what we're getting is a selective leak. And then we're getting documents from the Epstein estate. So it would be particularly dangerous for the Justice Department to be leaking erroneous or redacted things when they know there are other sources for some of this information.
And of course, to see the full interview with Ro Khanna or any of my other interviews or videos, please subscribe to this channel. It is and always will be 100% free. And finally, one more point. Donald Trump notes in his post that he wants to get back to his affordability agenda. Yeah, let's talk about that agenda real quick. Remember, Donald Trump campaigned on lowering the cost of housing, of rent, of groceries, of eggs, and yet what did he do once he had power? He engaged in a trade war that raised the cost of everything. He cut Medicaid from 17 million Americans, not sure how that's going to lower costs. He cut food assistance to the tune of $186 billion, not sure how that's going to lower costs. Ended subsidies for the Affordable Care Act that will result in healthcare premiums for 24 million Americans becoming 2, 3, 4, 5 times more expensive next year. Not sure how that's going to lower costs. Energy prices are surging. Inflation has been rising every month since March. Thanksgiving will be more expensive expensive, quite literally none of what this guy ran on doing has come to fruition. And the truth is that affordability is simply not a focus for Trump. It was on the campaign trail when he needed something from his voters, namely their support, but now that he's got power, he doesn't care about them. Now Trump's focus is on himself. It's on building a $350 million ballroom, on renovating the Lincoln bathroom in marble, on paving over the Rose Garden, on encrusting the Oval Office in gold, on retrofitting a Qatari jet to the tune of $1 billion, on buying Kristi Noem a couple of Gulfstream jets for $172 million, hosting crypto dinners where he casually doubles his net worth, hosting Gatsby-themed parties at his club. Donald Trump pretended to be a populist because he needed something from you. But now that he's got power, he is focused on his actual priority, which is himself. The reality is that Trump is very clearly flailing, and that's because he's having a lot of trouble keeping up with the lies, and everyone's beginning to catch on, including, by the way, Republicans. The lies about affordability are falling flat, just like the lies about Epstein are falling flat, and people are very quickly catching on to what a con this has all been. And these desperate attempts to salvage his reputation are only proving how weak and small he's become. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.